reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "The person who is trustworthy in very small matters is also trustworthy in great ones. And the person who is dishonest in very small matters is also dishonest in great ones. If, therefore, you are not trustworthy with dishonest wealth, who will trust you with true wealth? If you are not trustworthy with what belongs to another, who will give you what is yours? No servant can serve two masters. You either hate one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I read this book, The 4 Signs of a Dynamic Catholic by Matthew Caldwell. And the research that he did for this book showed that 7% of Catholics account for the majority of work done. 7% account for 80% of the work done in the Catholic Church. And he said that's good news. It's good news because the Church does so much. And if only 7% is doing all this great stuff, just think what 1% more could do, or 7%, or 20%. If 7% is doing this great work, we know the Church is doing great work. Catholic charities, universities, hospitals, the work we do here in our own parish, our youth programs, our adult programs. Just check it out at the administrative fair after Mass. All the great programs we do here. But you know what I'm excited about is if we can get our church more active, more dynamic, I'm excited about we can bring more people to heaven. That's why I want to see more people come into our church. That's why I want to see more dynamic Catholics. We can make a difference in our society if we be more active, more dynamic. And Matthew Kelly also said that, well, if we know that 7% are pretty dynamic, then what makes them dynamic? Can we duplicate that? Can we do that too? He said there's 4 signs. There's 4 signs, hence the title, right? 4 signs of a dynamic Catholic. A dynamic Catholic is prayerful. They have time for prayer, a routine time. It happens every day. It's not by accident. They pray every day. And Matthew said that we don't teach enough how to pray. Well, I provided a process, and I duplicated it. It's over in the ministry fair. You can pick one up. Number 2, they study. Dynamic Catholics study their faith. They know the truth. They're generous with their time, talent, and treasure. And 4th, they evangelize. They share what they heard on Monday morning, on Sunday. Today's second reading is St. Paul to Timothy. A little bit different than the normal St. Paul letter. Normally St. Paul is writing to some community telling them what they can do better. Well, today's reading from St. Paul to Timothy. Timothy is a bishop. He is a shepherd of the people. And St. Paul is talking to Timothy about the need for an environment. We need to create an environment where our people can pray and with devotion and dignity. St. Paul told Timothy that we need rulers over our land that allow for freedom to practice our faith with devotion and dignity. St. Paul was saying that we need dynamic Catholics. We need to build our church. We need to make a difference in our society. And so St. Paul was telling Timothy as the chief shepherd of that region how we can build more Catholics, an environment that we need to make a difference St. Paul, he named the 4 things that we need to be dynamic. He said we need prayer. He said we need to come to knowledge of the truth. We need to study. He said that we need to, no arguing, we need to be generous. And he said we need to raise our hands, evangelize. He mentioned all 4 things in the letter to Timothy, to be dynamic. Why? Why do we need to be dynamic? God wills everyone to be saved, for the salvation of souls. That's why we want a dynamic church. We want more people to come to church. We want more people to go to heaven. We don't leave anyone behind. We all want to go. We all want our friends to go to heaven. Pope Francis talked about this last week. Just so happens that this same letter from Paul to Timothy was on Monday's daily Mass, and he talked about it in one of his reflections. And Pope Francis said kind of the same thing. Pope Francis said that we need the environment to pray with devotion and dignity. We need leaders who love their people and are humble. And we need citizens willing to act. Leaders love their people to serve them better. And they're humble enough to listen to all ideas. They're humble enough to listen to diverse opinions, to choose the best path. And citizens cannot be indifferent to politics. All too often we say we can't do politics. We've got separation of church and state. We can't do politics in the church. That's wrong. We can't do partisanships. No, we can't do that. But politics, according to social doctrine, is the most charitable thing we can do because it is directed towards the good of the common good. Politics, according to social doctrine, is the highest form of charity because it serves the common good. We can make a difference in our society if we act. Leaders love their people to serve them better. Advance our homeland, lead our nation forward in peace and common good. We can't have peace. The common good is not being served without religious freedom from our leaders. Let me give you 4 examples. Hobby Lobby is a private corporation owned by a Christian family. They operate in 45 states. They have 13,000 employees. And they refuse to adhere to the HHS mandate. It's a federal mandate that requires all employers to provide contraception, abortion pills, and sterilization to all their employees. It's a mandate for all employers to have this. Well, Hobby Lobby, being a Christian family, said, we can't do that. It's against our religious conscience. We can't, with good conscience, religious beliefs, we cannot provide these things for our employees. And right now, they have an exemption right now. But I heard yesterday that it might go to the Supreme Court. It might lose that exemption. But right now, they're fighting it. And there are 60-plus lawsuits right now that are asking for exemptions from the HHS mandate. Where is our religious freedom? FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Administration, they say there's no federal assistance for houses of worship. And the Catholic Church is trying to get that changed. Where is our religious freedom? Churches all over the world, especially in Syria and Egypt, are being persecuted right now. Where is their religious freedom? The state of California is set to ban incense at Mass for Catholic churches starting in 2014, citing secondhand smoke dangers. Where is our religious freedom? Who's going to speak up? Leaders love their people to serve them better. And finally, today's gospel tells us that our possessions, our resources, are not our own. we are stewards of God. How prudently we use what God has entrusted to us on earth determines our worthiness for the true possessions of heaven. Leaders and citizens, did we use our resources on earth to promote peace and the common good? Become a dynamic Catholic. Grow our church. Salvation is at stake. We can make a difference in our society.